Hello, thanks for watching. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, a hippie who is living under the assumption that if you make an album in which you discuss a band's albums, you are morally, if not legally, obligated to make an album discussing their songs. So I don't want any legal problems with the authorities. So I just made a King Crimson video ranking their 13 studio albums on a channel that is devoted strictly to Frank Zappa, or that's why I started it. If you want to know why I'm including King Crimson on a Frank Zappa themed channel, watch the album video. I don't make money off this, so go watch it just so you know. If you care, you may not care. Either way, I ranked the albums, and now these are my top 10 King Crimson songs. This was a hard list. I think like I'm very, very comfortable with them all on this list, but I'm not uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with some of them I had to leave off the list. But I'm satisfied with these. I would say the top 5 are solid. The other 5, I think they're all solid. They have a lot of really good songs, is the point I'm trying to make. So I'm going to do my top 10. Yes, there was an 11 and a 12 and a 13 ones that barely made it. So if your song that you think should be on this list is not on the list, it might be 11. Just assume it is 11. I'm not going to tell you what 11 is. Only the top 10. We're not playing that game here. I'm not going to like CYA and like throw out 9 more song titles just to, make people happy. But just assume that the favorite song of yours that I left on this list, yeah, that one, yeah, it's number 11. I know. So don't be that mad. But anyways, on to the song. Number 10, Thela Hun Ginjeet off Discipline. Yeah, that bass. We're just going to say that bass. The beginning is great. High energy. You get some great guitar work. But all of a sudden when that bass drops in, it's like boom, boom, boom. It's just like, I can't do that bass with my voice. But it's funky and danceable and just irresistible catchy. And this is one of Adrian Belew's more indulgent songs. There's a whole like spoken word aspect in which he's having a conversation with someone describing. It's a very interesting tale, describing an incident in which he's recording an album and saying things for an album, but he's doing it while he's walking down the street, and then some people accost him, and they accost him and hear his recording of him talking about it being a dangerous place. And they're like, what do you mean it's a dangerous place? And then he goes and talks to somebody else about how it actually is a dangerous place. It's like art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. It's a really great concept, played out incredibly well. And the music is ridiculous. The guitar playing between Belew and Fripp is ridiculous. The bass playing is out of control. And live, they just jam the end out super hard, and it's incredible. And every time I've ever heard this live, it is like one of the highlights. It works in every show. It is the centerpiece, the Indiscipline, Thela Hun Ginjeet, ending side A, opening side B, sort of centerpiece of Discipline that is like the heart of this album. But yeah, it is my favorite album on Discipline and may have just barely beat out another song, which is not on this list. But yeah, a ridiculously catchy, amazing, danceable, funky, fun song. Thela Hun Ginjeet off Discipline. Number 9, The Night Watch off Starless and Bible Black. As I talked about in the album video, I went to Amsterdam and saw the painting, the Rembrandt painting that this song was inspired by, why is the word inspired throwing me right now? But anyways, The Night Watch was painted like hundreds of years ago. They wrote this song in the 70s. So I went to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam and saw it, not knowing it was there, or I knew it was there when I went, but I didn't realize this was The Night Watch, what the song was about. So when I was able to go back the second time, I stood in front of it in a very Amsterdam state of mind and listened to this song on headphones while staring at this magnificent, gigantic piece of art. And will forever love this song because of it. But this song specifically reminds me of another song. I don't know if there's any My Morning Jacket fans out there, but they have a song called The Way He Sings, The Way That He Sings, The Way He Sings. But it is incredibly compelling song with some amazing lyrics that have these 2 moments in it that feel like it's really going to give you just like the release that you need, but it never really does. And it always feels like it's just holding something back. And that's the way I feel about this song. This song is like, one, it's just about this painting. So if you've ever seen the painting, it's a really dark, it's a very dark, late night, shadowy type men working on, running a city type weird, just civic type minded things, right? But it has this dark, ominous feel about it. And this song is like, the lyrics are just about that in the most like straightforward way possible with this excellent line. Guitar lessons for the wife. I don't know why I like that line so much, which kind of ends the second verse-ish into the instrumental bridge. Whatever. I'm rambling. But anyways, live, this song would like take like a minute plus, it seems to build. And then the first set of vocals is pretty calm, and the energy gets up a little for the second set of vocals, and then up a little bit more for the third, but it never really like catches a groove or catches like fire, but it always just kind of flirts with it. But it is so like, I don't know, it seems like I've never really ever found the pocket or got this song in the best way possible. And so every time I listen to it, it's like listening to it new again. It's just such a like, it's like a painting. It's like, but it's not as there as the Night Watch itself is. Anyways, I think this is an incredibly compelling song and just a very strange little, just a weird little King Crimson slow ballady thing that, I don't know. I think it's a mysterious song. I very much connected to the painting, but even without the painting, I thought it was a mysterious song. I think I just love it more now. But yeah, The Night Watch off Starless and Bible Black. Number 8, Requiem off Beat. This is closes out the album, end of side 2. It's a improvisational instrumental. It's one of their versions of the weird improv that they do. It's not really a jam as much as it's like a soundscape. And if in the middle of them making their sounds, they fall into a rhythm or fall into a groove or fall into a little bit of chaos, that makes it all the better. But that's your typical. This one has a more kind of a darker, mournful, more kind of a vibe. There is a Requiem vibe. They do an incredible job of naming their instrumentals. I will give King Crimson props for that. But it feels, it kind of takes a while to kind of get together, and there's, just kind of tinkering and noises, and then it kind of reaches the more like organized, jammy sort of fashion before like falling apart and kind of quickly building back up and then kind of falling apart again. And it's just great, improvisational, exploratory. We don't have a map. Let's see where we're going playing, which King Crimson as far does as good as the best, Zappa leads Zappa so much that it's hard to compare Zappa to Crimson, because Fripp is definitely not controlling things as tightly as Zappa did. But the Dead, during like moments of like Dark Star playing in the band, those really, really deep out there journeys. Who else? I don't think anybody else plays improv music that sounds like this. Am I missing somebody obvious? Just this like piecing together different ideas and then falling into it. It's like nobody else's version of improv. Or am I missing something here? But I think not. Requiem, amazing track. Number 7, Lizard off Lizard. This is like the entire side B. I think I liked parts of this song for 30 some years, 20 some years. But once they started doing this live, I guess it was a couple years. Was it as early as 2015? Maybe it wasn't until like 2017. And they were doing basically the second half of it live. So not the opening with so this is like a 21-minute song with essentially 4 parts. There's like a song that's sort of an acoustic-y prog ballad that opens it with a gorgeous John Anderson vocal with a great catchy chorus. Then a really neat jazz breakdown. Then you have another more ballady section. Then you have, on the album version, this really Mellotron drenched, just really crazy jam, and then kind of fading out at the end with more just beautiful music. They were doing basically the second half of this live. So you got that little middle ballady part, and then just that weird Mellotron drenched, but not as Mellotron drenched in a live version, but with like Mel Collins taking some excellent solos in that. And so you just had a very incredible live version of this that popped up in the last 5 or 6 years. And so that turned me around to the parts of this song that I didn't like before, or at least had not given enough credit to. And then I went back and listened to it and was like, wow, this has been an absolutely amazing song all along. I do think some of the, other than the chorus on it, I could do without almost all the vocals on this. John Anderson, when he's at his most like airy, whispery, wondrous stories type, I don't care for it all. And if it just weren't for the fact that the chorus is so darn catchy, to my ears, I could do without the vocal parts, but the instrumental stuff on this is some of the most ridiculous stuff, from the really varied, flavorful, playful jazz first metal jam to the mellotron drenched, just pure psych, prog, horn drenched jam on the latter half. Yeah, fantastic, epic, 21-minute song, worthy of the length, just absolutely amazing. Lizard off Lizard. Number 6, Red, off the album Red, the title track, the lead track, just a in-your-face kind of metal, heavy prog, not rock, I don't know what it is, but just instrumental, like just one of the greatest instrumental riff songs of all time. The song's called Red because when they were playing it, all the meters and levels were in red. It's just, how long is this? Like 5 minutes or so of just pure momentum. It's just, you're just moving forward from like this riff to this cool riff, and it always seems like you're gonna like explode into something, but there's never really that just explosive release that most rock bands will give you. It's just like, we're gonna just keep driving the entire time. And there's a little part when you think it kind of slows down and gets calmer, but really it's just getting quieter for a little while before just again erupting into more just beautiful, metallic, heavy, prog, little metal, just incredible instrumental, just riffage, just pure, gorgeous riffage. Red. Number 5, The Devil's Triangle, or maybe just Devil's Triangle, off In the Wake of Poseidon. This is their version of they would cover Mars live, and there's a lot of really good versions of this out there, like on the Epitaph album in particular. But what this is it's like almost a very simple idea. It's like this rhythmic idea, this like something like that. I'm not getting it right, but just this like very particular, like we're sticking with this rhythmic pattern the entire time. We might get louder, we might get quieter, other instruments might join in and like echo the pattern, but we're staying with this. Over this idea of just the mellotron, a mellotron drenching of just chords, sometimes shifting in line with the rhythm, sometimes shifting, between, beats, and it just, the overlay of these two things getting louder and louder and more intense, and like you essentially have 3, an early kind of laying the foundation part, and then kind of things get weird production wise, and you step up and it gets more intense, and then in the third part it's like almost like on the verge of like just prog chaos, not real chaos, but just it gets louder and uglier and more distorted and just more in your face and more violent, and it's just, this is what prog music should sound like. More bands need to do prog songs like The Devil's Triangle, like covering Mars Live. This is just fantastic, fantastic stuff. Devil's Triangle, Wake Up Poseidon. Number 4, 21st Century Schizoid Man, off their first album, In the Court of the Crimson King. You just can't deny. I mean, if I had to say what was the greatest prog song of all time, even though I like 2 songs better than this, I would say that this and the one that is my number 1, I would nominate as possibly the best prog song of all time. I'd put like, Close to the Edge up there. Supper's Ready. Prog is a wide umbrella, right? And many other songs from many other bands. But I would say the 21st Century Schizoid Man definitely has a shot at that title. It is heavy, it is jammy, it is ridiculously, like, even now it would still blow my mind if I got song from a new album from a new band, and this was like their opening track. I'd be like, oh damn. Just the riff alone is incredible, the jamming in the middle, just the way the entire thing is laid out, the playing, the drumming. I mean, everybody in this band nails it. Everything about this is just a perfect song, and it's a heavy song. It still sounds heavy today. 21st Century Schizoid Man. Number 3, Lark's Tongue and Aspect 2. I think this is like the perfect instrumental that they wrote. The one I have above this is also an instrumental. Number 2 is an instrumental, but that's a very special creation, I think, where this is just like, this is the template for so many of their songs. Just like one riff, mess around with this riff, at some point kind of maybe pretend to slow things down, or maybe pretend we're going to shift gears and then go off in a completely different, much harsher direction, and then get really harsh and in your face for a while, but then have that new riff kind of bleed back into the old riff, and then just close out with everybody going at it full bore. Like, they do this sort of instrumental thing better than any other band. I mean, this is what like Vroom Vroom is. Like Level 5 harkens back to this. The Lark's Tongues 3 and 4 harken back to this stuff. There are so many songs that just like were birthed out of the idea that Lark's Tongue and Aspic 2. Plus, on the album and in most live situations, or even as an opening song, like, it always works. I think especially after a talking drum and you get the weasel screeching, and then you just go the dun dun. I mean, and then the bass comes in with the. I mean, it's a ridiculous song. The best versions are the live versions from like 73 and 74 for me, hands down. But even hearing them, the more recent live versions are incredible. Just such a fantastic, in your face, everything it read for the full-time song. Amazing. Lark's Tongue and Aspic. Number 2, Fracture off Starless and Bible Black. This is probably, I heard it's the, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's by far the most difficult thing King Crimson has to play in their catalog. There was a guy who made a YouTube video about trying to learn to play this song with 0 mistakes, and it took him like years, like, because he just worked out. He wasn't a full-time musician, but he wanted to learn to play the song, so he tackled it bit by bit. But it really is just this really sort of, it's the beginning part, which is this weird like, dun, I'm not going to even try to do it, but just this incredibly complicated, but like simple in concept, like guitar part that just kind of builds and builds and builds, and then goes into these weird like shiftings, and then you run through this sort of, what is like the first 2-3 minutes of the song, then you go into this entirely different section that just gets faster, and then you get into this like meltdown space part, and then out of the space part comes just like dun, 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 gets loud and aggressive and in your face, and then that eventually goes back into like echoing back to the first 2 parts, and the entire thing's instrumental, and it's like almost impossible to play, and there's like John Wetton's bass playing at the end when it comes in, and just like, and he just plays like these really fast, like gets like 4 bars to just kind of solo really fast and propel the thing forward. It's just like, it's an amazing ride. And I don't know, again, anybody else who does something that is this guitar focused and this intense and slowly building in prog, and just like, so like, it's like 2 concepts, this riff and then this riff, and we're just going to mess around with these ideas for like 9 minutes, but in so many different ways. Just Fripp, man. Fripp, dude. Ridiculous. And number 1, Starless off Red, the one that has the chorus, Starless and Bible Black. This is a song that, it's 2 parts, essentially. It's a first part, which is like a John Wetton ballad, essentially, with him just... It's got some really sort of poignant, concise, Fripp guitar lines, and this sort of melodramatic, over-the-top vocals that Wetton does better than anybody. And I think it works. It's drenched in just like keyboards and the sea of just like just beautiful prog sound. And then after you get what is essentially a song, what could be a standalone song, we just then go off into this ridiculous, very reminiscent of Fracture type like guitar riff that builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. It's like very one simple idea, but they just keep building it and getting it louder and adding to it until that erupts into, like, on the album, a saxophone solo, a crazy frenetic guitar solo in a lot of the really good live versions. And then after you get that solo, you eventually get a callback to the first part of the song, and it seems like it's going to end as it swells up, but then it dips back down again, and then it builds back up, and it's just like, I don't know, I think it's like one of the most perfect, it is arguably the most perfect prog rock ride there is. And as a prog song, it's got the balladry over the top sort of that kind of sound that is that I usually don't like in prog music. And then you got the incredible complex playing, and then you got kind of a combination of just the over the top symphonic gestures at the end as it ties in from the beginning. And I don't think anybody has done it better than this. Like, Yes is close to the edge, has some of those moments at the end where they have a callback to earlier parts in the song, but that song is such a much more different idea. Like, this is like two ideas, like this Wettin ballad, this Fripp idea, and it's way they take these two kind of simple ideas and just tinker with them for like 11 minutes, and they combine them at the end. I don't know. I just think the songwriting and couple it with the playing and just the talent of musicians, you just can't beat stuff like this in prog music, man. It's like so perfect and so simple and yet not so simple. I don't know. Amazing. Starless. That's all I got to say. And that was a lot of nonsensical rambling is what that was. But it's been a long Monday and I'm tired and I'm losing my voice. So I don't care. But anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know which songs I'm wrong about. I'm sure it's all of them. Let me know which ones are your favorite. Let me know why I'm an idiot and all that kind of stuff. And then again, that one that you think should be on here, it's number 11. It's right, yeah, that one right there. It's just, I couldn't. Thela Hun Ginjeet's so good. I just couldn't get over that. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. All that stuff. I don't know what's next. It's either the next live King Crimson is next or we're jumping into Bob Dylan. Jumping into Bob Dylan, people. Then we'll get back to Frank in a couple weeks. All right. Peace, y'all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Bye.